Hello, everyone. Welcome to Celsius 233, your go-to place for fiction book summaries. Today we will unravel the story within The Horse Dancer by Jojo Moyes. In The Horse Dancer 2009, Jojo Moyes weaves a poignant tale of love, loss, and perseverance, intertwining the lives of a struggling teenage equestrian, her ailing grandfather, and a lawyer facing personal turmoil. Against the backdrop of urban London and the world of elite horsemanship, the novel explores the power of dreams, human resilience, and the unbreakable bond between a girl and her horse. Plot summary. The first time Henry Lachapelle saw Florence Jacobs, he had been atop his horse, performing with Le Cadre Noir, the elite equestrian academy of France. She was an English girl, wide-eyed with admiration, and before he knew it, his carefully disciplined life had unraveled. Their love consumed him, but the rigid world of Le Cadre Noir had no room for distractions. His defiance, his passion, his inability to let go, these were the things that led him down a path he could not escape. His legacy would not be one of prestige, but of loss, exile, and a small apartment in London, where the only thing he had left of his past was a granddaughter with the same fierce love for horses as he once had. Sarah Lachapelle had been raised on stories of her grandfather's past, of the great horses and the noble riders of Summaries. But her reality was far from the grand arenas of France. At 14, her world revolved around Boo, the horse her grandfather had trained with all the patience and rigor of Le Cadre Noir. In the cramped corners of London, amidst traffic and tower blocks, she rode him with the precision of a true équerre, determined to uphold everything Henry had taught her. But dreams and discipline could not hold back time. When Henry suffered a stroke, his sharp mind and steady hands failed him. Sarah sat by his hospital bed, the sterile air thick with unspoken fears. He had been her guide, her anchor. Without him, how would she keep Boo? The city had no place for a girl alone with a horse that needed space, care, and money, things that slipped through her fingers like grains of sand. Across London, Natasha Macaulay sat in a courtroom, the weight of another long day pressing down on her. She had once been a lawyer of unshakable conviction, but years of dealing with fractured families and lost causes had chipped away at her certainty. Her marriage, too, was slipping through her grasp. Mac, her estranged husband, was still entangled in her life, his presence both comforting and suffocating. Their house, once a place of shared dreams, now echoed with the silence of two people who no longer knew how to reach each other. Sarah's world collided with Natasha's when fate, clumsy, relentless fate, placed the girl in the lawyer's path. A caseworker, overwhelmed and uninterested, saw Natasha as the perfect solution to a problem no one wanted to handle. Sarah needed a home. Temporarily, of course, just until things were sorted. Natasha, against her better judgment, agreed. From the moment Sarah stepped into Natasha's home, it was clear she did not belong. She was used to making her own rules, slipping through the city unnoticed, surviving on instinct. The polished floors and sharp edges of Natasha's world were unfamiliar and unwelcome. Mac, ever the observer, saw it first, the defiance in Sarah's stance, the barely concealed desperation in her eyes. It was Boo, of course. Sarah could live in this house, attend school, follow the rules, but she would never give up her horse. Boo, stabled in a rundown yard under the watchful eye of Cowboy John, was her last tether to Henry, to everything she had ever known. Sarah visited him at dawn and dusk, feeding him with whatever money she could scrounge together, hiding the truth from Natasha. But secrets have a way of surfacing, and when Natasha discovered the horse, her patience ran dry. A girl could not keep a horse in the middle of London, not when there was no money, no plan. Sarah's stubbornness met Natasha's practicality in a collision that neither could win. Yet Mac, with his instinct for broken things, understood. Boo was not just a horse. He was Henry's love, Sarah's hope, the embodiment of everything that had been stolen from her. And so, against logic, against reason, he helped Sarah keep her secret a little longer. He drove her to the yard, helped her buy feed, stood between her and Natasha's growing exasperation. It was reckless, but kindness often is. Sarah's delicate balance shattered when social services made a decision she would be placed into foster care. Strangers would decide her future, and there would be no room for Boo. The thought sent her into action. With nothing but desperation fueling her, she took Boo and ran. Through the streets, past the traffic, towards a freedom she could not define but knew she had to reach. The city, so indifferent to the struggles of one girl, took notice that night. A horse galloping through London was a sight that could not be ignored. Headlines screamed of a runaway, of danger, of recklessness. But for Sarah, it was just the next step in a life that had never been easy. Boo's hooves pounded the pavement, carrying her towards an impossible dream. When they found her, the world had already decided her fate. Boo could not stay. The authorities, the laws, the barriers of reality were too strong. Sarah fought, pleaded, but she was 14, and the world was run by people who had already stopped believing in impossible things. Henry, weakened but still filled with the fire of his past, made one last stand. He called in a favor, the kind that only someone who had once ridden among the greats could ask. A place was found, not in London, not in a cramped stable yard, but in France, where horses moved like poetry, where riders carried the weight of centuries of tradition, where a girl like Sarah, with her unwavering love and unbreakable will, might just belong. As she stood by the train, Boo's reins in her hands, Sarah looked at the city that had been her battlefield. Natasha and Max stood nearby, their expressions unreadable. They had become part of her story, just as she had become part of theirs. They had saved her in ways they did not even understand. Henry watched from his chair, his body frail but his eyes still sharp. He had once thought his legacy had been lost, that his past had faded into obscurity. But now, as he saw his granddaughter step onto that train, he knew better. She would ride where he once rode, learn what he once knew, and in doing so, she would carry him with her. The train pulled away, and London faded behind her. Ahead lay France, the Cadre Noir, the echoes of hooves on ancient ground. Ahead lay the future. Hope you had fun. There's more where that came from. Explore other books by Jojo Moyes. Find them below or search Celsius 233. Remember, while our summaries capture the essence, they can never replace the full experience of reading the book. If this summary intrigued you, consider diving into the complete story, buy the book, and immerse yourself in Jojo Moyes' original work. Bye-bye, take care, have fun.